The thing that I wanted to talk with Amin about, though, regarding the Warriors, Stugotz, because you've got now reports that Warrior players are annoyed that Andrew Wiggins is not in shape. And you've got a lot of people talking about, man, Klay Thompson, because he doesn't look very good, looks like he's lost confidence, also looks like he's unhappy because... and they're making extrapolations. His body has been broken. He's aging, and it looks like he's the one that's going to get left out on value, Stugotz, on cashing in all the things at the end. Hey, the company cares about me, right? The company cares about what I did. I helped build that arena. I made you a business that functions because for 10 years, we built a thing that Draymond got paid and Steph got paid and Durant got paid. And what about me? But his body's not working, and he's clearly diminished, and he's coming off of injury, and I could feel, and I mean, you could speak to how sensitive he is or isn't, because he has been cool and confident his entire career, but he would have reasons not to be now, Stugotz. And one of the worst things that can happen to not just an athlete, but an employee is to be lacking confidence, and now your employer seems to lack confidence in you too.
Right, but he did so much good for that franchise, so much winning for that franchise. And I'm asking him, I'm not saying that I would do this, but I am asking you. Would you take care of that guy at the end of his career? Would you give him a kiss at the end of the career?
The reason that I want to talk to Amin about this is because I don't think that you run your businesses on the emotion fuel. You do take the customer's money in the emotion business that way, but Klay Thompson right now is going to get left out in the musical chairs as far as I can tell. I mean, I think it would be dumb for them to reward the loyalty, even though I always want loyalty rewarded.
The problem is there is ripple effects, right? It's not just, hey, we can just say, hey, Klay, you don't have it anymore. Good luck. And then Steph and Draymond will show up to work happy and okay with it. I remember when Anderson Varejao, I believe, got cut. Like, that impacted Klay tremendously in a way that they didn't expect. That it turns out, like, that was his best friend on the road. And him getting cut, a guy who barely plays, into the bench, impacted one of their best players at the time. And so now, years later, it's Klay. If something happens to Klay, I think that would impact people on the team that aren't suffering right now.
So you think they'll give him money based on the feelings of his teammates?
It depends because it's not a binary, right? It's how much money. This much money, okay, it's worth it. This much money, max, absolutely not.
Do you understand those, Stugotz, when we talk about how hard it is to keep some of these things together? To me, it's weird, right, that Durant would even leave there. Hey, it was so easy for you guys. You guys were winning. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that great? We don't know what the internal pressures are, but clearly there's something about that intensity from game to game and day to day that fries people, and they're at the end of this run.
Right. Like, this is the part where I think every time people get confused, I'm like, look around. Which one of these things ever lasts? It's so hard to continue to do it because it's what Pat Riley talked about years ago, the disease of me. You're constantly fighting all of these pressures, both internal and external, that make it impossible for everyone to say, let's just come back and do exactly what we did the last time. Beyond the fact that, like, hey, the ball might bounce this way, we might not get this call, this guy might get hurt, and that's why we didn't win. Even if everything was perfect, people don't want to do the same thing. They say, I sacrificed it, now it's my turn, right? And then vice versa. What's happening now is, okay, your turn is over, and Klay Thompson's like, no, it's not. And so you see him bristling against reporters where they say, hey, like, do you think there's some goodwill that's bought because of what you've done? And he sneers at that, like, oh, so now I got goodwill, that's why I'm playing?
Well, he still thinks he can play.
Of course he does.
But he's not as good.
But in his mind, that's not that far off.
I don't know if we're realizing it, but I'm excluding like the Celtics from way before my time.
18.
Is this the longest one of these cores have been together?
They are the longest tenured team. Like, when you talk about guys who have been with one team the longest, Lillard was at the top of the list, and it was a bunch of Warriors.
I know the Spurs unit was together for a while, but I think in terms of like they're over close to 13 years with these guys?
Yeah. Well, the Spurs, like, Tony Parker was drafted in 2003, and that was the year both him and Tony Parker was drafted in 2001, and him and Manu and Tim won in 2003. So that went for 15 years, I want to say. Like they're
with those three as the core.
That's the blueprint.
Right.
But again, they evolved. All three of those guys went through a transformation of, I can't do it the way I was doing it when we were winning before. Tim was like, okay, I've got to be more of just a defensive guy and focus on that end. Manu's like, okay, I'll come off the bench. Tony, okay, I'll reduce. And luckily for them, they had Kawhi Leonard to ascend and take them to that last championship.
I don't know how it's going to end, but I don't think it's going to end quietly. You know, it's like not with a bang, but with a whimper. It's not going to be with a whimper, but with a bang. I think you have Draymond, you know, his emotional response to these things. Klay, I mean, there's a lot of emotion here, and there's a lot of emotion they're showing. When Klay said, "What, you want me to bench me?" It's like, oh, okay, this is a touch. Like we're hitting a bunch of nerves here, and I don't see how you can hit that many nerves on that many different people and have it be like, okay, one guy's gone, that's fine. Like I don't know what that looks like, and I don't know how practically that works, but it seems like it's more of a powder keg situation.
So if you even think about the Bulls, the last dance, we keep talking about 6 championships. The reality is it wasn't 6 championships. It was 3 championships with Mike and Scotty and a bunch of guys.
It was 6 for Mike and Scotty, though.
Yes.
Right.
Mike, Scotty, and Phil.
Yes.
But then, like, the other 3 champions were completely different people.
Yes.
Steve Kerr, Randy Brown, Jud Buechler, Dennis Rodman. None of those guys were around for the first 3.
Well, the core for the first 3 included Horace Grant.
Yeah.
The second 3 was Rodman.
Right. But even, like, the supporting characters, right? Like, Kevon Looney
right.
hasn't been there the entire time, but he's been there long enough. So when you have this many people together that long, at some point, like, it has to flame out. It cannot continue.
It's not just that. When you say this many people there that long, you saw how quickly Durant got tired of Draymond. Draymond, under these conditions, these particular conditions, you got your money. We paid you after you punched Jordan Poole. You turned Jordan Poole, a champion, into an echoing joke.
Well,
we all watched Jordan Poole win a championship. Man,
I love the algorithm that I'm on IG.
Man.
All I get is Jordan Poole.
It's old wrestling videos and Jordan Poole.
All I get is Jordan Poole and the Wizards being the most chaotic, reckless team in the NBA.
You got him as like this General Patton champion. Serious. I do things the right way. And then I was punched by Draymond Green, and my life turned into shambles.
That's his villain origin story.
Yeah. That's not how he was. This is who he was. They just had him behind closed doors, and now the doors are open.
You say that, but you get a whiff of the inner circle in a way. Man, you know how the gloss up that people get when we start covering them in championships? Jordan Poole's reputation was someone that you could trust in the finals. Like, you could say it was a clown show in basketball, but a lot of people would have been willing to – a lot of people watching Jordan Poole would have been willing to give him money.
I always viewed Jordan Poole as a guy who was just lucky to play with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, to be honest with you. I never thought of him as a guy that I could trust in the finals.
I think Draymond would agree with you.
All right, but what did you think of Andrew Wiggins? You thought the same thing?
A guy who was lucky to play with Steph and Klay and Draymond Green.
Well, but his reputation has changed. Andrew Wiggins changed his reputation.
By winning, yes.
Yeah, but winning with them, you're saying that he's not responsible for it, but he changed. Andrew Wiggins arrived there as Jordan Poole.
Well, Dan, it's what I've been saying about Kevin Durant forever. The Warriors won before Durant got there. Durant was a luxury. They won after he got there, but they also won before he got there and were the best team in NBA history.
Stugotz, shot for your life. Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole.
Oh,
wow.
Those are my only 2 choices?
Funeral arrangements.
Yes. I am dead.
For your life.
I think Wiggins gets it off before the shot clock expires, so I'm going with him.